What's going on, everyone? I'm back, and today I wanted to discuss a top 5 list for this upcoming 2018 fantasy football season, specifically the top 5 big name players you want to avoid because they've got bust written all over them. So let's get right into it. The first player on my list is one of the breakout running backs of last year, sophomore Kareem Hunt on the Kansas City Chiefs, and I've got a few reasons why I'm very hesitant on him. First and foremost, he's going as a back-end first-round pick, somewhere around possibly the 8th, 9th, 10th pick, and I still think that's a very high price to pay for someone that, first and foremost, the only reason that they got a chance is because of the Spencer Ware injury in Kansas City in preseason. Ware will be back, so obviously we know Hunt is the main running back, but I do think Ware's returning presence will take away a little bit of the target share of Kareem Hunt. Also, on top of that, I know, look, for the first 3-4 weeks, Kareem Hunt was the top scoring rookie or any running back in the season last year, but then he disappeared for about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 games. People were talking about trading him for nothing. People were talking about dropping him, benching him, and then he reappeared for the last 2 to 3 weeks. So to me, there was too much inconsistency, and when we talk first round pick, it's got to be someone that is a bona fide, consistent playmaker. On top of that, to me, another huge question mark is the presence of Patrick Mahomes after the Alex Smith trade. Say whatever you want, Patrick Mahomes is a question mark. We don't know what he's going to be able to do on that offense, even though Andy Reid is the quarterback whisperer. You still need to be able to game manage. You still need to be able to have that chemistry with your offense. And I have my concerns with Patrick Mahomes. Pretty much, we haven't quite seen anything. For a guy that's been touted as highly as he has, and for a guy that warranted Alex Smith being traded just because he had a huge arm, to me, that leaves a lot to be desired. And one way or another, if he struggles, opposing defenses are going to stack the box against the Chiefs, and that's going to make Kareem Hunt's life even harder. On top of that, if they fall behind in games, it's going to turn over to even more of a passing situation. Now, I realize maybe Kareem Hunt in some PPR situations, he does get a little bit of a boost, but to me, the first guy on this list has to be Hunt again, for the primary reason, honestly, I'm not that high on too many of the other Kansas City offensive players as well. Until Patrick Mahomes shows us something, I think we have to be a little bit cautious. And using an early first-round pick on a guy that has that many question marks is way too risky for my taste. Coming in at number 2 on this list is none other than LeSean McCoy. And look, the story with Shady takes a couple of turns here because he didn't put up that great of numbers last year. He was a top 5 pick last year after having a great season the year before, but then the Buffalo offense struggled, Tyrod Taylor benching, things like that. There were a lot of changes in Buffalo, and now fast forward to this year, even more so. I honestly think that the Buffalo Bills will be one of the worst offensive teams in the league. It's going to all come down on the shoulders of Josh Allen, and personally, I think he's one of the weaker rookie quarterbacks. I guess Kelvin Benjamin is there still, Zay Jones, but Kelvin Benjamin, the guy can't stay in fit shape. Zay Jones having some issues off the field, and then LeSean McCoy, we haven't even mentioned his issues off the field. Recent reports coming out, possible domestic abuse, what's going on there. He's going somewhere as a late second-round pick. Now, I do think some of that will regulate itself, so I could see him dropping to the 3rd round. But as he gets older, I think he loses more and more value every single year. Now, to me, I've always viewed him as a pure PPR running back. If it's a standard league, I'm not going to go ahead and touch LeSean McCoy. I think he gets too much of his value from those pure dink and dump passes. And let's be honest, if the Buffalo Bills offense is as bad as many people predict, well, that's not going to leave a lot of room for the running game. And sure, in a PPR situation, maybe you'll salvage 10 points a week from LeSean McCoy, but I still don't think that's worth a late second round pick an early 3rd round pick for LeSean McCoy, a player that's just not the same talent that he once was on an offense right now that is trying to find themselves with a rookie quarterback that hasn't played a single down in the NFL. Next on my list, I've got another Kansas City Chief, and that is Tyreek Hill. And you can kind of tell I'm going in order of some typical rankings, and Tyreek Hill is the next guy on this list because he's going as an early 3rd round pick, a top 15 wide receiver, and I just don't think that should be the case. Now, first and foremost, I already made the case about Patrick Mahomes taking over that offense, and that's even more of an issue when it comes to the wide receivers. Now look, I will say Tyreek Hill is probably one of the fastest, most explosive players in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, we do know he's got a huge arm, so that is a deadly combination. But again, some of the things we saw with Kareem Hunt, we saw with Tyreek Hill. I had Tyreek Hill labeled as a player that I thought would break out last year. He did, but at the same time, this recency bias, I think it's going to hurt a lot of players that expect the same kind of productivity from Tyreek Hill that we saw last year. Sammy Watkins is joining that offense. I think he's, as much as I'm not high on Sammy Watkins either as a number 1 wide receiver, I think he's a better possession wide receiver than Tyreek Hill. I still think Tyreek Hill has average hands, and he's more of that home run threat. I compare him to a Deshaun Jackson. From time to time, he will get you 2 catches for 150 yards and 1 touchdown, but how consistent is that going to be? We saw that last year. Pretty similar to Kareem Hunt. He started off with a really nice start to the season, was pretty inconsistent throughout the middle portions, and then had a nice strong finish. At the same time, as far as PPR leagues go, Tyreek Hill, like I said, those big burner guys, they go for the long completions that you're not going to get a chance for every single possession. And to be honest, I think the best pass catcher on that offense is still Travis Kelce for the Kansas City Chiefs. If there's one player that I'm trusting, it's Travis Kelce on the Chiefs. I think he'll be that security blanket for Patrick Mahomes. I still think that he's the most dependable guy there. Neither Tyreek Hill or Sammy Watkins give me too much comfort. And like I said, to me, it just comes down to the fact it's too big of a value to pay for a late 2nd round, early 3rd round pick, a guy that is just a pure home run hitter 90% of the time. That's why I'm avoiding Tyreek Hill in 2018. Next on this list, I've got another wide receiver, and that is Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears. The newly acquired Robinson got a huge deal for the Bears coming off an ACL injury. Now, there's a couple of factors other than the injury on top of that that make me very hesitant, and it honestly all starts with the Bears offense, specifically with the Bears quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky. Look, I said it before, I'll say it again, I'll keep on saying it. Mitchell Trubisky is not a future franchise quarterback. I don't know what people thought was so great about him in 2017. Everyone is pining and hoping that he's going to be the next Jared Goff because everyone's comparing the Bears offense to what the Rams were last year. But look, I don't think that's the case. I don't think Mitch Trubisky is nearly as talented as Jared Goff. Even coming out of college, people were shocked that he came out and that he even went in the top 5. It was one of the biggest shock moves in the entire draft that he was drafted 2nd overall. And he had limited experience in North Carolina, lit up very bad opponents, and when it came to the NFL, the reason that he got his chance is because Mike Glennon was god-awful for the Bears. And then, Mitchell Trubisky, he played as a rookie that didn't want to make too many mistakes. So maybe that's the reason why Bears fans, I think, to a large extent, mostly Bears fans, are so high still on that offense, and on Mitchell Trubisky, still holding out hope that he can be the savior for that offense. But, man, he still played. After those 4 games, he played the entire season for the Bears, and he had 7 touchdowns. That's ridiculous. That's averaging less than a touchdown per game. I realize The Bears' offense was decimated with injuries, but nonetheless, you have to be able to get more than one touchdown per game. The good thing is, he is a little bit more of a mobile quarterback. He'll extend some plays, but in the long term, I don't think he's that accurate. I don't think he has it in him to go for more than 300 yards week in and week out, and that's going to hurt the entire passing game. Every single pass catcher. I think Allen Robinson, the Bears paid a lot of money for a guy that's coming off of a very serious injury. And as far as defenses go in that league, in that division for the Bears, they're going to play the Minnesota Vikings twice a year. Probably one of the toughest defenses in the NFL. The Lions, the Lions defense isn't half bad. I would say it's above average. And then the Green Bay defense, it wasn't the best last year, but it's improving. And all those divisional games are usually close. So for that reason, it's going to be a tough 6 interdivisional games for the Bears and for Mitchell Trubisky. With Allen Robinson, we're seeing him go in the early 3rd round. And again, that's a price that I am just not willing to pay. I think the Bears offense, the best player on that offense is Jordan Howard. I'm willing to take a chance on him, but even there I have hesitation because I think that offense, when it's all said and done, will be too one-dimensional, and teams are going to be able to focus in on that. No matter what you say, I don't see the Bears finishing anywhere higher than 4th in the NFC North. The Packers are better for the simple reason they have Aaron Rodgers. I don't care who you surround Mitchell Trubisky on that offense with. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are going to beat them every single time. The Minnesota Vikings were a game away from going to the Super Bowl. They're better than the Bears. And the Lions with Matthew Stafford are better than the Bears. And when it's all said and done, Allen Robinson, I think a lot of people are still chasing that one amazing year he had for the Jaguars. And I just don't think it's there. I think he still might have some rust on him when he comes back from that injury. And for that reason, it's a guy that I'm staying away from. I don't like anyone on the Bears offense. I don't care about these comparisons to the Rams that I keep hearing, that they're going to be the next up-and-coming team. Just be patient. Don't rush it, because I think if you go ahead and invest stock in the Chicago Bears offense this year, you're going to get burned big time, especially if it's any of the pass catchers. The 5th and final name on my list is Derrick Henry, another running back, and I think this can be a lesson of what can happen if you allow yourself to wait on running backs after the first 2 rounds, because then you can really go ahead and talk yourself into Derrick Henry being a viable option to lead your running back group. And I just don't think that's the case, because look, right now he's going early 3rd round, late 3rd round. I've seen him go the earliest right at the start of the 3rd round, which I think is crazy. Now, if you look at last season, he had some nice moments, Derrick Henry, but I do think a lot of it came down to long plays, like 40-yard touchdown runs, 50-yard runs, in situational parts of the game, in the 4th quarter late. And those plays for running backs are statistically the hardest plays to duplicate year in and year out. So you do have to keep that in mind. And I will admit, once DeMarco Murray went ahead and left the Titans, I was, like many other people, thinking, all right, this is finally going to be the year for Derrick Henry. And then the Titans go ahead and do what? Oh, with their ties with the New England Patriots, they go ahead and add a former Patriot in Dion Lewis. Now that has to have you worried a little bit if you were a Derrick Henry supporter, because not only do you bring a very serviceable running back, one that has been stated in the coaching staff saying that he will be, along with Derrick Henry, a true committee 1A, 1B running back, a running back that can probably catch the ball better out of the backfield than Derrick Henry, taking away some of his opportunities in PPR formats. But to me, most importantly, a running back that has those ties to that coaching staff. And I do think that could play into his favor. And honestly, unless there is an injury in this tandem, I don't see one of these guys truly separating themselves enough to be that running back number 1 that at least Derrick Henry is being drafted as. Now, maybe you think, well, look, take the New Orleans Saints, for example. Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram. What they both did last year was incredible. Both those guys put up running back number 1 numbers. But honestly, comparing the New Orleans Saints offense and the Tennessee Titans offense to one another, I don't think that's fair at all. First of all, the Saints are led by Drew Brees, and they have many playmakers around them, especially as pass catchers are concerned too. I don't see anyone for the Titans on the same level as a Michael Thomas. I don't see, Marcus Mariota still not on the same level, even close, as Drew Brees. In Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, they had a lot of success when it came to touchdowns. So honestly, that's a big reason why many people aren't as high on Alvin Kamara this year, because they don't think that touchdown performance is going to be duplicated year in and year out. So that's why, if you go ahead, compare that to the Tennessee Titans situation, I have my skepticism here. For that reason being, I'm going to go ahead and avoid Derrick Henry at that price, early 3rd round. No thank you. I'd rather go ahead and start building my wide receiver depth at that point in time. So with that, we get to an end of this top 5 players to avoid list in 2018. And as always, let me hear it. Do you guys agree, disagree with the names on this list? Would you exclude some names? Would you include some names? Let me hear it in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in future videos.